Welcome back to Let's Play AM2R. We've made our way out of whatever the crap that last place is, some robotics laboratory or something, and we've made our way to the tower. Now, we don't yet know much about the tower, other than the power is off. And we can do very little against these guys. We can also do very little against that, so that's cool. I've got the space jump, but this is fun too. Oh, but I can go in there. Ah, it's you. Now, somebody has... Jeez. I tried. Okay, somebody for one, oh boy. Somebody's pointed out that this game felt more like Super Metroid than a remake of Metroid 2, and that much of the nostalgia had passed. And I believe that was during the section over here, the rather extensive green section over here, which, I will say, none of which was in Metroid 2. This game is longer than Metroid 2 is, and they added a lot of sections here and there. Much of the green area, not immediately in the little two-towery thing surrounded by the air, I guess. Much of that was added, and it was added specifically because of the speed booster, which again was not in Metroid 2. So they not only gave you the speed booster, which has come to be a staple of the Metroid franchise, but they gave it to you and then, of course, had to give you a reason to have it, so they built a little bit of a section there around it. Otherwise, I will say what this game keeps from the original Metroid 2 is surprisingly loyal to Metroid 2. However, when it does something different, it does something different for a reason much like that, where they want to add a power-up that wasn't in Metroid 2, but it's become a staple of Metroid, so they just add a section separate from what is normally a part of Metroid 2, so they add a new section to reflect that power-up. And then from there, it's just kind of little bits and pieces here and there. Going into the area down here, I'll say, I actually spent a fair amount of time... In my first playthrough of this game, I used a map of Metroid 2 to play through this game. Like, I looked at where all the items were, where all the enemies were, where all the Metroids were, and that told me about where I was going to run into stuff in this game, and it did me a pretty good solid. In fact, right up top here of the tower, for one, this statue wasn't here, but that's looking cool. But up here, this was indeed something that existed. They made it a little bit more complicated, but this little, path, I guess, was indeed here. Like this little tube path on top of... But I want that missile. Okay, good. No, but I want that. No! Okay. Now, something to speak of is this area of the existing... Hey! Of the existing areas in Metroid 2, this area perhaps had the biggest overhaul. And that's mostly because it's been effectively completely invalidated. The entire reason for this area doesn't exist in the remake. Oh, this is gonna be fun. And for the most part, the reason for that is, I think I mentioned before that in Metroid 2, there was... In Metroid 2, when you picked up a beam, you kept that one beam. The beams didn't stack. So you could always either have, like, plasma, or ice, or spazer, and if you wanted another one, you had to go back where the item was, and you could get it again. This area was a weapons facility, and it had all 4 beams right here, so you could very easily come back here and get all 4, any of them. Of course, this game has stacking beams, so there's no reason for that, but that was pretty much the sole purpose of this area. There's very little inside this tower aside from access to the 4 beams, so you can just use them. This looks pleasant. So they kind of had to give this entire tower a new purpose and a new personality. And they did. And it's actually pretty neat. I do have... Ah, boy. Get off. Get off! Holy crap. Alright, come on, come on, come on. Just stay up in the air, stay up in the air. Quit moving around like a bomb. Yeah, eventually. Oh, and yes, it's been mentioned. You can charge your beam up to collect items. I'm pretty sure somebody has mentioned that in a comment on literally every single video. No less than one person has mentioned it in the comments of every single video since I got the charge beam. And I've not mentioned it and I've not shown it off, and that's mostly because that's a mechanic that was introduced in Metroid Prime. And it was introduced in Metroid Prime mostly because of, It was introduced in Metroid Prime mostly because the 3D landscape made it very difficult to maneuver around. There we go. Made it difficult to maneuver around and judge distance and collect every one of those power-ups. As far as Metroid Prime is concerned, it was almost a necessity because it was so hard to collect those individual items otherwise. In the 2D Metroids, it's not nearly as big a deal, which is actually why it was introduced, or why, though it existed in, say, Metroid Fusion, it existed in a much tamer way, or I should say less easy-to-use way, in that power bombs did it. They drew everything in. Ah, crap. And so using a power bomb was not an easy thing to do, but you could do it, and it would still drag everything in. I forget if that retained its use into Zero Mission or not. But they brought that mechanic over to, Oh, that got him. But they brought that mechanic over here to, AM2R. And I think it's neat. I am a firm believer of having options. Like, that's not something that I would do, because in a 2D Metroid, where you have this much mobility over the entirety of the space that you have available to you, I feel it's easy enough to collect all the items anyway. I don't feel it's necessary, but I'm a firm believer of options. If some people do like it, let it be in there for them. Just because I don't think it's necessary doesn't mean it shouldn't be an optional mechanic. Which is how I view a lot of things, and why I would, I'm not going to try to beat a dead horse with this, but some people have mentioned on my notes about the speed booster that they like it as it is here, and there's no reason for them to remove that. If they like it that way, leave it that way. I'm pro options. Put a toggle in the options menu so they can have it their way, and I can have it my way. Then everybody's happy. And if you hadn't guessed, these are looking a lot like they're going to be our new Metroid hovels. I guess they got tired of the O. Oh. The Zeta Metroid. It feels like we just met the Gammas, and already they've evolved again. After a substantial transformation of its body, the Metroid's power and defense greatly improve. Though the Zeta Metroid can no longer fly due to its immense weight, its new legs are strong enough to carry it and perform great bursts of speed. The arms can deliver powerful strikes, and its mouth glands can spray a highly corrosive substance. Its two prior forms were akin to a pupil phase. Discarding the Gamma Metroid's exoskeleton marked the beginning of its adulthood. So this thing is not messing around. And I'm trying to remember what the best way I had to fight this guy was. And it's not that. One of the nicest things about the Zeta Metroids is that you can shoot them horizontally from a standstill when they're facing you. Anyway. God dang it, let me get on his other side. Alright, that works. Which actually means it's also a good plan to use super missiles. Okay, I think I'm remembering how I fought these guys. Not that bad to take them out, honestly, specifically because you can shoot them from standing distance. You don't have to worry about, like, lining up the vertical height with them. You can just lay into them when they're facing you. You can try to get over them and get to the other side, but I think if I recall, the easiest way I found was just kind of hovering in the upper right-hand corner, or in the upper corner, and letting them turn around. So that would be the Zeta Metroid, and we're nearing the end of the Metroid's life cycle. Found a couple pictures of the various Metroids, and I thought it was really neat how really all that's happening with the Metroids is they have the hard outer coating, and they have the very large nucleus in the middle. And really, as they're growing, the nucleus is just getting more and more hidden as the rest of their body, the hard outer casing, gets bigger and bigger. And more surrounding it, and stronger and beefier. Okay, so I guess what we're doing is, we're probably going to go into the tower next time, and this time we're just going to scope around the outside of the tower, and take out the Metroids out here. Because there's a couple of them. Why? Why you gotta be this way? Oh geez, your thing breaks the sand too? Just eat all the hits. Kill him before he kills me. There, I did it. We did it and we're safe. Is there anything in the air? Nope. On the nature of the charge beam thing, I've actually known about that for a fairly long time. I knew about it my first run through. I just never use it because I don't feel it's necessary. And then I forget about it because I never use it. But yeah, I mean, I've known about it for a long time. Ow. I'm falling into guys. That's lava. And that's another little Metroid den. Let's go this way. God dang it, let me up there. There's a save point in here. So I'm gonna heal up, and then we're gonna go back out, and we're gonna kill the Metroid. And that's going to more or less cover the outside of the tower. Which will leave next time... Oh wow, this place is horrible. Which will leave next time for us to take care of the inside of the tower. This is looking like another Zeta Metroid. Yep. Jerk. Ah. Come on back. Don't be afraid to make use when they give you little holes like this. We're going to be getting into a couple fights later on where that's going to be... You're a jerk. You know that? You're a jerk. We're going to be getting into a couple fights later on where that's going to be the primary method of fighting them at all. Do be very careful about this, though. On one hand, I feel like this is blocking my missiles. Get in the friggin' hole, piece of crap! I feel like this isn't the intended way to fight them. And I say that because it is so horrendously easy to get knocked out of the room. And that's just one hit, and you reset the entire fight. You have to start all over. But it's the only, especially later on, it's the only way I've found to fight them. And then that just happens, and there you go. And that's one of the points where I feel like this is the fact that this is a fan game and not an official Metroid game really kind of... It almost happened again. Okay, can I do this? Can we just do this all day? Nope, nope, nope. And the thing about these guys is you can still kind of manage to fight them going toe-to-toe. I'm just gonna chill in this corner while you get your crap together. And this is, I don't know, this is one of my lesser favorite parts of the game. If only because I feel like a couple of the issues that I have with the design, more mundane issues, but this is where I feel like they come to light a bit more. and one of which is... I mentioned how snappy the game is, and one of the biggest deals of that for me is gravity. How fast you go up and down, like how fast you jump and fall, is very quick. And that makes space jumping, like in the corner of the room, up and down, it's very tricky to just stay in the corner without falling down very far. And like, that amount of space is enough space to get you hit. Because you can't time it right, and you can't, like, get yourself in that corner a little bit more. I was gonna say something else, but I can't think of it. I kind of have one other issue, but it's not a big issue here. Though I do believe these fights weren't exactly the best designed. But with that said, until next time, everyone, we've explored pretty much everywhere there is to explore outside the tower, so next time, we're going in.